Hello Aquarius, great to have you here. My name is Shauna. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Aquarius. What I was getting for you is I do feel this month is going to be a little bit of an emotional month for you. And that can be good or bad depending on how you handle the energy. But the first thing I'm sensing is there will be a lot of discussions, very important discussions to be had. The first thing that comes through is important discussions about work, about the progress of your work, as well as the next step that you want to take in terms of your financial future, in terms of your career, in terms of what you want to do for the next coming period or phase of your life. Okay, so some discussions about your financial future, your future career, and things like that. The other thing that I'm sensing coming through is there is going to be a discussion, and I do feel it's more in the romance sector as well. I feel that you might have somebody coming back from the past. And keep in mind, I am doing this reading on today's the 24th, for you to have a discussion with somebody from your past. And then I feel for a lot of you, you're laying the past to rest and you're moving on with a new start. So a lot of you might have for example, you might have dated somebody. You might have started dating somebody, and then a person from the past comes back, wants some type of a discussion with you. And then you do what you need to do to close the chapter on that past situation. And then you're moving on with the new partner. And likewise, I feel like on the career track, it's the same way, where you are going to have opportunities to discuss something regarding your future. And then some major decisions are going to have to be made this year. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm sensing here. The other thing I'm feeling is that heightened psychic intuition, and follow your heart and trust your instincts. Okay, it's going to take you down a much better route if you are actively doing things that are indicative of your true life path. Follow your intuition, follow your heart, and don't let that self-defeating talk kind of steer you astray. I feel that a lot of questions need to be raised up when you're dealing with other people. So just make sure that you keep everything in order, and make sure you don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your intuition. Okay, the intuitive side of you is it's basically psychic abilities and heightened intuition is coming through overdrive to help you navigate the energies for this month. So it is best to follow your heart and follow your intuition. Very often it is one and the same. It's just, your sense of rationality sometimes override, and then you end up overthinking things. So aim for simple decisions, okay? Decisions that will allow you to move freely and to not have to second guess yourself. Those are the major decisions that's the direction you basically want to take. So whenever confronted with a situation, I feel that less complicated is the best way to go, all right? So aim for that, and I feel that the rest of the month will be a lot easier for you. Don't get yourself in messy entanglements, and just know that if it sounds like it's a little bit too messy, it probably will not be good for you long term, especially if we're still dealing with like the Mercury in retrograde energy. So if it sounds a little bit cumbersome and just problematic, it's best to let it go, all right? So we've got the whole sword family. All we need is like the Knight of Swords. This is quite interesting. So it's going to be a heavy hitter month of it deals with like self-growth and the path that you are on your inner journey, okay? And I feel like for a lot of you, it might just be like a journey, like a journey of the self, like going through life, figuring out where your next steps are, where your path is, trying to find out what it is that finding like a journey for self-awareness, figuring out where you need to be, how to get there, and things like that, and planning for the next important stage of your life. I feel for a lot of you, the next few months is going to be very pivotal, either in career or in love. Finances looks to me to be good, but I feel like it's more career, love, and things like that. So let's see. One last card. Okay. So let's talk about your cards now. So the first cluster that I'm picking up here is the King of Swords as well as the Princess of Swords or the Page of Swords. For a lot of you, you're dealing with air signs, okay? So this is more in the communication. It can be interpersonal relationship, or it can be business associates or any contact that you have with a very, very strong air sign. So air signs are Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. For a lot of you, you are dealing with another air sign. And I do feel that the way that this is coming out here is, I do feel for those of you who are dealing with like an older air sign, and it can be biologically just a few years older, they're still considered older, or significantly older. This can be their sun, moon, or rising. I do sense that somebody wants you to come towards them. That's the energy I'm picking up. They want to start something with you, but there might be an age difference, and there might have been like situations where both parties are not engaging with one another on an emotional level. I feel it's more like intellectual rapport, and you can't really push past that. So one would say like it's almost like an impasse, except I feel that both parties want the same thing, but for some reason they're not discussing it openly. And there might be some type of a strained communication where the environment might not be conducive to go beyond the intellectual realm and talk more about emotions and feelings and things like that. But either way, I do feel that there's going to be a lot of communication messages coming back and forth between you and a fellow air sign. And I do sense that the other person is taking more of a reserved stance. They already know what they want from you. They already, have things pretty much established. So it's a matter of you deciding on what it is that you want. And I feel like a lot of you are holding back on a decision that you need to make, or a lot of you are still assessing a situation. But either way, I feel like for a lot of you, you have a solid air sign in your midst for some type of a close interpersonal relationship. And this person can give you a lot of good advice. This person, for some reason, can give you a lot of structure in your life as well. So the energy I'm reading is for a lot of you, you might be the Page of Swords, where your energy is a little bit scattered. You have a million thoughts racing through your mind. You're trying to decide on the next step of your life. You're kind of like at the very beginning of your journey, your life's journey. And the air sign that is coming through in the picture is somebody that can give you a lot of good advice, a lot of good counsel. But, being the individualistic sign that you are, I feel that you're trying to go about it your own way. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're supposed to do that through life. But if there are things, knowledge gap that you're missing, I feel that it would be in your best interest to, turn around, face this person and ask for some sense of direction or some kind of advice if that is something you feel that they can help you with, okay? So beautiful energy. I feel like a mentor or somebody that is they're quite worldly, and they're quite for some reason I'm getting like just somebody who's been around, and they can give very, very unbiased advice. So in terms of your finances, let's look at this situation. For a lot of you, we have the Two of Pentacles and the Six of Wands. So I feel that for a lot of you, you are in a position, in a current job situation that brings you a lot of recognition. Either you are very famous at your job for some reason, or you do your job very well and you're in a position of authority, or you're in a position where others look up to you. You know what you're doing, you're totally confident and competent, and you're very good at your job. So I feel a lot of recognition coming through from the work environment. People look up to you, they respect you, and you come across as somebody who knows exactly what they're doing, and they're also in a position to give advice and counsel. For a lot of you, you might be trying to decide. I feel like a decisive energy, a lot of discussions and things like that, where you might have two jobs on the table, and you're trying to decide which one you should go for. And For a lot of you, you're staying with one job. Another job is coming through. The current job that you're in gives you a lot of prestige, esteem. The other job might be a little bit further away, or it might be, you know, like a stab in the dark, or it might be bring about some type of uncertainty. So at this point, you're still trying to decide which one is the best route for you long term. At the same time, I do feel that for some reason, the current job that you're in, um, I feel that financially it's great, but for some reason I'm pressed to say that I feel it might not be emotionally fulfilling for some reason. It seems to me like a lot is going on. There's a lot of excitement. There's like a lot of new changes. So the work environment itself is very dynamic. But I feel like it might not bring you that emotional fulfillment or that intellectual stimulation that you're craving as an air sign. So you might be looking elsewhere, or you might be solicited or headhunted for a different position, okay? On the other end, I do feel finances, you have more than enough at your disposal right now, but I do sense it would be in your best interest to try to live within your means. Don't, manage what's coming in, what's going out, and don't spend too extravagantly. I do feel that people in your midst, they're kind of like big spenders, so you don't have to emulate their lifestyle, okay? So just keep that in check, keep spending in check, and especially during the Mercury in retrograde, which will transpire throughout the first 3 weeks of this month. It's not a good idea to buy big ticket items. For those of you who are buying, extravagant things that you don't need, try to save that for another month when the energy subsides a little bit, and you're going to, otherwise you might have like buyer's remorse. Just be very careful about that. A lot of you are kind of thinking about travel as well, possibly overseas travel. Just make sure you have enough saved up, and put out like an extra $1,000 or so to buffer yourself on this trip, because I feel like if you're taking a trip, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than you initially planned. So it would be in your best interest to set out like an additional 1,000 just in case, okay, over your budget, just in case. So in terms of your spiritual development, I mentioned earlier that I feel psychic abilities are going to be heightened this month, okay? Um, we do have the Empress as well as the Four of Swords, and both of these indicate to me some type of spiritual messages that are coming through to you from it usually indicates to me like a maternal figure that has passed on from the other side. It is somebody that is watching over you, that is giving you some a sense of direction, okay? And it's coming through predominantly in your dream state. So make sure, like, first thing, when you first open your eyes, try to sit in bed for like a few minutes and try to recollect if you have any dreams that you can remember, okay? That's how I normally do it, and I feel that it does help me keep track of my dreams, and also keeping a dream journal so that you can later on look back and reflect on it and see, which direction that you're supposed to be headed, because some spiritual insights, some very deep, profound truths are coming through to you in your sleeping moments. And sometimes too, when we have like very, very complicated problems in our awake state, when you actually get some sleep, your brain does a lot of mental sorting, compartmentalizing, and problem solving. So making sure that you get enough sleep is going to be pivotal this month, not only for your peace of mind and for your physical state, but also in your dream state. You're getting messages to help you solve real life problems, or to give you insight into something that has been like vexing to deal with, to extract, or to try to understand. So I feel that you are going to get some divine guidance to help you forge ahead with your new stage in your life, so that you can move forward and feel confident, okay? So you have some very strong divine protection here. What I'm also sensing as well is, for those of you who are expecting or are trying to get pregnant, this is a very good month. I feel that pregnancy and things like that might come out of the blue. So it's kind of like unplanned as well. So be careful. If you are not planning to get pregnant, protect yourself and your partner accordingly. If you are planning to get pregnant, then I do feel there is a huge opportunity here where it can come through. And if you've been praying for it, I do feel that this is good indication that it will come through prayers and through taking some time off and meditate, okay? What I'm also sensing is that for a lot of you, you might be a little bit of a recluse this month. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do feel that the energy is very supportive for going out mingling, attracting a lot of people. You have very, very intense, high power of attraction to the point where you might feel a little bit burdened by it or a little bit drained by it. And you might just want to be a hermit. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do feel that for those of you looking to meet new people, especially, you are going to be very well received, like mentally, emotionally, and physically as well. So you're exuding a lot of good, you know, energies where you are drawing other people to you, and you bring with you a very soothing energy where people can sit and they feel like they can really open up to you. So this is a really good energy, and try to get out there, mingle, circulate, because people are drawn to you like magnets. All right. So in terms of our communication, let's talk about this a little bit. So we did have, first of all, the King of Swords that came out and the Princess of Swords. Going back to this, I need to go back to this so that I can talk about the Queen of Swords, okay? So the way I'm seeing this is the King of Swords. Kings are always very, very strategic, okay? And we have the Page of Swords, which is somebody that deals with communication, okay? You are dealing with somebody potentially who is very, very systematic, who is very strategic. They take the information that comes through, they process it, and then they make connections between the disparate information so that they can form their opinion. So I feel like for the first 2 weeks of the month, that's what needs to happen. Don't make any decision. Process, internalize, and mull over the information that is coming through for you, okay? By the 4th week, that is the time for you to act, okay? So we do have the Queen of Swords, which is, I feel like this is the woman, well, it can be male or female, regardless of your gender. This is not gender specific. But I do feel that the Queen of Swords is the one who executes, okay? Not like beheading or anything, but she executes ideas and she puts her plans in order so that something can move forward, okay? A lot of you have decided on a situation, okay? And I do feel that this situation concerns somebody from your past. In the traditional Rider-Waite deck, this is somebody who is considered like a widowed woman, or a woman who has severed ties with somebody she was either married to or she had a very, very deep connection with. So I feel because this energy decided to come out during the 4th cluster, what I'm almost feeling is there was a person in your life that you had a very, very long history with, okay? And you have decided to leave them behind and you're moving on with your life. And I do feel this wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't an easy choice, but it was something that you have thought long and hard over, you mulled it over, you got some possibly divine protection or even some strong, you know, spiritual guidance. You were kind of like oscillating back and forth. What should I do? Then you came into a space where you got that spiritual guidance, and you feel like you arrived at this decision from a place of calmness and rationality. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like you're on the right track, if anything, okay? So I do sense that what's coming through is the decision is there. You're making it towards the end. You're working out the way that you'd hope, and you're cutting your losses, and you're moving on. So this is a pretty final, thorough kind of like splicing of something outside of from your life and moving forward. And I feel that you're not going to regret this decision. Just stand firm in it, own up to it, and you're going to be okay, okay? There's no second guessing here, because I feel like you did the necessary work in order to figure out the next step. So even if it's like a work situation, you're not happy in it, or it's not emotionally fulfilling for you anymore, you are going to be able to move on. I feel like overall there was a lot of background research. There was also a lot of contemplation back and forth. So by the end of the month, you're going to come to a place where you're like, okay, I'm sure this is what I want to do. And I do feel when it comes to matter of the heart, um, trust your judgment, trust your intuition, because if you were to ask other people for advice, friends, family, siblings, things like that, they're not in your shoes, so they can't give you proper advice. Okay, follow your heart and you will be okay. So now, in terms of your advice cards, let me just clear these up and then we'll go into the advice cards. What I'm getting here is we do have the Hermit, the Prince of Cups, and a Princess of Wands. A lot of you are going to get an offer for a romantic relationship, taking the relationship to the next level, dealing with offers of flirtation, dealing with somebody who is quite shy, quite standoffish, but I feel like finally they're taking a step. They're stepping up this month in order to bring you something of value, okay? So this is the energy that is coming through for you in terms of an offer. And I feel that it would be in your best interest to go ahead with it and show that you are available emotionally, physically, mentally as well, so that you can invest in this person, okay? So for a lot of you, it might be a water sign. We've been seeing water signs for 3 consecutive months. So this is going to be a Scorpio, Pisces, and let me see, Scorpio, Pisces, and what's the third? Cancer. For some reason, I'm also inclined to say that it might also be a Virgo for those of you dealing with a Virgo, mainly because of the Hermit card and the similar, color scheme between these two cards. What I'm getting here is that you are divinely guided towards this person, is what I'm feeling with the Hermit. The Hermit indicates our spirit guides, our spiritual guidance, and people that are encountering our paths because they have something to teach us, okay? So these can be very karmic relationships. They can be soulmate connections. But overall, I'm sensing that there is something that they might be biologically younger or older. It doesn't really matter their biological age, but they come bearing a lot of wisdom, a lot of insights, and they will be a very good addition in your life, okay? Others of you, for some of you, this is somebody from the past as well who is coming through and wanting a commitment. And you have to decide what it is that you want to do. But, keep in mind, whatever you decided on, make sure that it pans out like rationally, that it makes sense, emotionally, that it makes sense. Otherwise, you might just, second guess yourself. So the point here is that I feel you will know what to do when the situation happens. But I do sense as well, we have the Hermit here, which is that you are divinely guided. Something like the universe has to shuffle many, many things together for two people to cross paths with one another. So if this is somebody that is, I feel like you might have seen them 3, 4 times. That's what I'm getting. They're meant to be in your life. If you have crossed paths with them, but you have never been romantically involved with them, this is somebody that is meant to be in your life for a reason. So don't shy away from this. I feel that because it's the Prince, which is traditionally the Knight of Cups, it can be somebody who's very shy, who's very like they're a little bit of a wallflower. They're not going to make strong declaration because they're just shy and they're afraid of rejection, okay? So male or female, I feel like that's the energy that you're dealing with. And I just want you to know that for some reason, I feel like there's lack of eye contact for some reason with this person. And they're shy. It's not because they don't, it's not like they're repulsed by you. But I feel like there's just this innate coyness about them that makes it really difficult for you to understand how they feel and their intentions. So I feel like if it's somebody that you've known for some time but you've never dated, I feel like you have a preconceived notion already of what they're about. And that is coloring your judgment when you're dealing with them in the present time. So for this month, it would be best for you to come to this situation with like a clean slate, without any preconceived notion about who this person might be, how they feel about you, regardless of what transpired in the past. Start this situation with a clean slate, okay? And then over time, let them show you who they are, and then examine this situation. So I feel almost like the Hermit should come second, where you are researching or examining this situation and trying to figure out this person's intention. I feel like for some reason you might just be out and about and you might have run into this person multiple times, or there is something very serendipitous about the way that the relationship or the way that you meet. There's something strange or quite, fated or serendipitous about this situation. For a lot of you, likewise, you might be dealing with a fire sign, okay? Or at least there's going to be messages coming through, communication coming through from a fire sign. And fire signs are Sagittarius, Aries, and Leos. This is a much younger energy. They can be younger biologically, or just, their personality, they're very vibrant, vivacious, and things like that. I also feel like for a lot of you who are dealing with a water sign who's kind of blowing hot and cold, there might be some third party involved as well with the fire sign. So what I'm sensing here is that in whatever's, I'll do the love reading in a little bit so that we can flesh out the energy, but I do sense that there might be a third party interfering. I also feel that because this person is very shy, I feel that you're going to have to step up your game and be a little bit more assertive in directing the conversation, in directing the flow of the relationship, okay? I feel like this is somebody you're going to have to deal with kitty gloves. They seem to me like they're a little bit sensitive and a little bit just very shy, just kind of like deep, someone who's very deep in their own fantasy. So it would be in your best interest to try to step up, be a little bit more outgoing, flirtatious, friendly, and you're naturally friendly. But I do sense, asking more questions to get them to open up. I feel like they're in your periphery or in your outer perimeters trying to step in, but they don't really have a way to step in to meet you. So I do feel that it would be in your best interest to try to be a little bit more flirtatious, to let them to send a message that you're interested so that they can step into your inner circle, okay? For those of you dealing with a fire sign, I feel overall the energy for the fire sign as well, I don't feel it's a coy energy, but I do feel the fire sign is somebody who's hesitant about entering a competition. So that means that they might think that you have a lot of suitors, so they might not be ready or willing to, enter the competition. So that is something that you want to, if that's something that you feel, if that's the energy that you feel they're exuding, give them a lot of eye contact. Do a lot of like hand holding or touching, just to let them know that you are actually interested in them. So they feel almost like you might have multiple people on the side. And if that's not the case, then, let them know that you're interested, because I feel like they're kind of hesitant as well, but they're not shy. They're hesitant because they're eyeing the competition. Okay. So now let's go into your love reading. So once again, I'm not going to be reading reversals with this deck. So give me a moment. Let me get the cards shuffled out. A lot of you might be transitioning from a water sign to a fire sign as well. And the fire sign seems like, like perfectly your cup of tea, because I feel like there's a lot more playfulness, playful energy about them. And they have a very good sense of humor, is what I'm feeling. Very good sense of humor between you and that person. They make you feel like a little child again. Like there's a lot of fun, excitement, dynamism in that union between you and a fire sign. So if the water sign has been, like a heavy emotional experience, then a reprieve from that, dating the fire sign, would be very, very good for a lot of you. So it is pretty much concentrated around emotions and, major decisions this month. So let's see what's... Okay. So this is interesting. Okay, so definitely blast from the past. And I feel like for a lot of you, it might be somebody that you've had a romantic relationship with, or it can be somebody that you've known for quite some time, but you've never been intimate with, or you've never dated. Okay, so it could be just somebody that you like. They've been around for quite some time, but you never got involved with them. And I pulled out this card mainly because it was in the picture. It like flipped out right side up. And let's talk about this situation first. There is somebody that you're not paying attention to, okay? So this is you. This is basically your energy where you're fixated on something that is outside of your environment. You might be fixated on, your future. You might be fixated on just somebody from your past that is no longer there. You might be daydreaming or fantasizing or even thinking, whether or not they will make a comeback into your life. In the meantime, you're turning away from this new opportunity that is coming through. As you can see, like the depiction of it pretty much speaks for itself, where somebody is like not really sure how to approach you. And I feel like it's a fire sign here. Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or the energy that they exude, which is somebody who's very outdoorsy, well-traveled, very bold, brave, and just when they like you, you will know that they like you. They're very vocal about it, and they're not shy about it, okay? So what I'm feeling is they don't really know how to step into your inner circle. They don't know how to catch your attention. So don't be too standoffish this month. Try to live in the present moment. Don't get distracted by fantasies and daydreams about things that are happening, outside. I feel like you might be a little bit hazy and you might be a little bit distracted, or at least like you come across as disinterested. So make sure you invest your time and talk to people and make eye contact and things like that. Otherwise, you might miss this opportunity as it comes by. Okay. For a lot of you, if you are dealing with an air sign, likewise, there might be some kind of distance between you and the air sign, either geographically or just you might not have the proper time to be with one another because somebody is distracted with somebody from their own past, okay? So something from the past is coming through once again because we do have the Six of Cups here. This indicates to me a very, very beautiful energy where people are it indicates like past life connections, soul connections. But what I'm sensing is that there is somebody from your past that you had a very, very pleasant interaction with. And I feel like it was very pleasant because it did show up in the upright position, which indicates to me like also unfinished business as well, or thinking about or reminiscing about the past because it was entirely positive. And I feel like it was positive as well. There was a lot of growth and mutual learning that had to happen. And for a lot of you, you might be tempted to go back to the past, even though you might have an air sign or a fire sign that you're seeing right now, okay? So the person from the past, whoever that was, there is temptation here for you. You might get communication from them, and you might like it might emotionally destabilize you. So I feel like a very, very small minority is going back to the people from the past because the ones that you have right now are actually very good and more suitable for you. But there might be somebody from the past that you're cycling back to. But I feel like it's a very small percent. And for the rest of you, you're not going back to the past, but the fact that they are communicating with you or you're thinking about them is really on your mind and it's occupying your mind space where you can't be emotionally available in the present. So be careful about this, okay? And make sure you stay in the present moment and don't go back to past situations. What I feel might have happened in the past is that we have here a situation with the Hierophant. And the Hierophant in the reverse usually indicates to me that it's a very non-traditional type of a relationship where two parties might not have been committed to each other. Or it's a situation where family issues, customs, religion, tradition, and social expectations, there was a lot of interference coming through from other people, from just the way you were brought up, religious differences, ideological, philosophical differences, family upbringing, there were a lot of differences between you and that person. And I feel like even if they were to come into the picture right now, you're just trying to figure out, like, how can we work together despite all of these differences? How can we build like upon the same goals for the future if we can't see eye to eye? So you're trying to assess whether or not it's worth it. But I do feel that some type of a non-traditional relationship is on offer for you as well. It could be somebody new, but I feel like on offer with somebody from your past. Just make sure, I feel for a lot of you too, if there has been some type of a breakdown in a marriage situation in the past, some decisions need to be made, or at least that person is coming back from the past, okay? What's coming in as well, we do have the Nine of Cups, and the Nine of Cups is, this is like, when it's linked up with the Six of Swords, I feel like unwelcome communication. You had a soulmate, I feel like you had a soulmate relationship. Um, you've grown a lot. You've done a lot of healing at the end of that relationship. You have moved on and you have potentially two love interests, or you're either dating new air signs or new fire signs. But I feel like because the person is like trying to communicate with you, it's like throwing the wrench in the works. It's kind of like tugging at your heartstrings. You feel like, I have tried so hard to move on, and they're coming back and they're kind of pulling me in or reeling me in. So don't engage in it if that's the case. Move on with new energies, because a lot of the time I feel like people are in our lives to teach us certain things, and most of the time, events, people tend to overstay their welcome. And when that happens, arguments take place, hostility, resentment, it builds up. So the point here is, know what you have, live in the present, plan for the future, but don't go back to the past. If you feel emotionally rattled because of somebody from your past, it's a good indicator that it wasn't entirely all positive. It was positive in that I feel there was a lot of growth that allowed, you and that past person coming together was something that was preordained. It was like fated so that you both can grow and become better people. And I feel like you both have become better people, and you both care about each other a lot. This is like the childhood innocence card, where you care about one another, not based on how much money you make. It's not based on, superficial things like status, prestige, money, wealth, and all of these things. It's basically two people, it's like puppy love, like two children, loving one another without any expectation. So I feel like that's what it felt like in the past, but you came together and you have that sense of affection, caring for one another in a very human level, and wanting the other person to do well, wanting the other person to be happy, even if, it means not being with you. So I feel like this is purely, it's unconditional love. But if it was something that transpired in the past, you want to move forward, okay? Now, in terms of those of you who are in committed relationships,